Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of, I almost said Wide for the Win, but the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we all are winning wide. And today we have a very special guest in Erin Wright, one of my dear friends, and one of the people that probably is like at least one of the top three experts in wide in the world. I can't say number one because but she is a world-class expert on being wide.
I would not say number one either. So we are in total agreement there. There's so much to being wide that it's almost like being like, I'm the number one expert in computers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And now that we've added direct to the mix of like wide is like wider than wide, this aggressively wide part, it's like there's even more things. And so before we get into Erin, Lee, it's been forever since I've talked to you. So anything you want to say before we dive into this cool conversation?
Oh, it's good to see you. And I've been telling people about your book, How to Thrive as a Writer in a Capitalist Dystopia. Because when I did the exercises in March in New Orleans, I realized why I'd had such a great writing in the fall, like a great creative flow in the fall. And it was because I ran my book marketing boot camp in August and got a lot of the questions of like, what are you going to do to market your books? I got that to go away because I was like, well, I did that. I did it in August and I'll do it again later. But right now we're in writing mode and I had a very, very fun and productive fall. And I'm going to run the boot camp again in the summer, and it's open to all authors. So you can check out the Millionaire Author Mastermind. I'll probably pin a post, and you can join in July and do it in July, or in July. You can join in June and do it in June and July. And I'll probably run these twice a year, and everyone who is in for life.
Awesome.
And you can come market your books with me. And we talk about ways to do that and strategies in doing that. And it doesn't matter if you're in KU or wide. I have done both. And we were going to talk briefly about the benefits or why people choose to go into KU and Kindle Unlimited. And if I think we use a lot of slang on this podcast. We kind of assume that authors are like been authoring for a bit or been indie. And when I started, all I knew was Amazon. And then Amazon had the Kindle Unlimited program. And I was like, okay, check that box. Because I could upload wide, meaning on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Smashwords, which is now becoming Draft to Digital. Right. There were all these options and I was overwhelmed. So I said, I'll just do Amazon then, just to get that question of like, what am I doing? Where should I publish my books? I was like, well, I publish on Amazon. Check that box, get that gone, because I need brain space. And that was me for a number of years until I started translating my books and realized Amazon isn't as big in the German market. You want to get on Tolino. And you get there through Draft to Digital. And then later we figured out how to go direct to Tolino without learning German, which was a win. So
Yes. Well done, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Like that's next level wide because most people are like, I'm just going to use Tolino because it is in German. And
go through Draft to Digital. This is such a choose your own adventure career. And going wide is choosing all the adventures. Yeah. But how long do you want to spend on each adventure? You also get to choose, like Russell said, aggressively wide, going direct, setting up a direct store. You can be wide and never set up a direct store or do a Kickstarter. So.
And the other way also, actually, you can do the other way. So before we get off into a big tangent, like even though Lee and I know you pretty well, Erin, why don't you introduce yourself and who you are, what you do, and
Sure. Let's see. So I'm Erin Wright. I write contemporary Western romance novels. So I think sexy cowboys, sexy firefighters. I am from Idaho. All of my books are set here in Idaho, in a real place, actually. It's called Long Valley. And that's in central Idaho for anybody who's A little bit familiar with the area. It's Cascade McCall area is in real life. Anyway, so I've been writing since 20. I started writing in 2015. I first published in 2016. And previous to that, I was in the library world for 7 years. I was a library director for 18 months of those 7 years. I also served as chairman of my local library board for 2 years. So libraries are a big part of my life, a big love of mine. And I've also been a teacher. And so teaching is a really big love of mine too. And so when I first started writing, I also was in KU because hashtag duh, that's where everybody makes their money, and it would be stupid to be wide, duh. And of course, I wanted to make money, so I was going to be in KU. So I uploaded my books and I checkmarked that little box and I was doing all the things. And then I was like, okay, cool. I got like my shit up. I'm ready to go. How do I get it on the libraries now? Um,
Mm.
as a former librarian, like now, how do I get my ebooks into libraries? And they're like, oh no, you can't do that. What do you what do you mean I can't do that? Like I don't mind. I will publish to Apple and Kobo and Barnes and Noble. That's fine. That's fine. We're good that way. But I'm gonna be in libraries, right? And they're like, yeah, no, you can't do that. You can't have your book anywhere. Like, well, you suck.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw you. And the worse you wrote in on, I'm going to figure this out. So I pulled my books out of KU. I literally did not know a single wide author at that point. Nobody. And I didn't even know all the wide platforms, right? I was completely clueless, except for I was going to have my books in libraries. Damn it. So I ended up, doing lots of research. For those of you who are familiar with Clifton Strengths, the number one learner and a number three input. And so I am quite good at researching all the things. And so I started learning all the things, and I thought, I'm gonna start a little Facebook group because I couldn't find any place to talk with other white authors. I'd like reached out to people, and been like, hi, I'm white, you're white, let's be friends, which I'm good at doing. But I thought, I'm going to create a little online group and it'll just be me and some buddies, and like maybe 100 people total will join ever. Like, because nobody's wide. This is not going to be like, this is going to be nothing, but so I talked one of my close friends into doing it with me, Susie O'Connell. She also writes Sexy Cowboys. And we started Wide for the Win in March of 2019. And so it's over 6 years now.
Yeah.
And we have surpassed 18,000 people. So my predictive powers are shite. Let's
Yeah. But your foresty powers are very strong.
My
So,
foresty powers are out of control. Yes, I'm hardcore forest.
yeah, absolutely. I will, I guess, we talked to everyone about like their KU journey to wide. I started doing shows mainly. Like I would sell at shows and on Kickstarter. And so when I went to, and if it was like going to KU, I was like, I physically can't do this. Like I have my books like available on Kickstarter. Like I have them available on my website. And every time I would try KU, I would get like 10 page reads because like I do not write sexy cowboys. I do not write like mystery novels. Like I don't write like contemporary thrillers. Like I don't in there are certain genres that like I think that I mean, most of the biggest authors that I know are like wide. So like, I won't say that like the certain genres you should be in KU because like that is what people say. Um,
Mm.
and like I wrote in zero of those genres, and like the genres that I wrote in did way better direct.
Mm.
And like do way better at like shows and on Kickstarter and subscribe and like Substack and like all of these things that like my books. I looked this morning, $35 I've made on Amazon this month. And like my Kickstarter is made $11,000. Like I've made like over $1,000 of new business like on my Substack this month. But I just like don't have a world that is like very well served by being in KU. So my decision was actually quite easy. Like I don't, and I think the decision for most people is easier than like they make it out to be, because over time, so there was a time where like every contemporary romance author that I ran into was like in KU and told me that if you're not in KU, like this is ridiculous. Like I'm not even going to do Kickstarter or anything because like everything is KU. And like I went to RAM a few years ago and people were when like 80% of the hands went up when they were asked are you considering going wide or are you wide? Which was like a vast sea change in just like 2 years from before the pandemic, where like I got laughed out of rooms for telling people to use Kickstarter. So like we're in like but like then there are like portal fantasy authors who like probably shouldn't be in KU unless you write lit RPG maybe. But like there are like weird mystery novel, there are like lit fiction. There's all these kinds of genres that like don't have any algorithmic advantage on being on being into KU. And like that's what you're really after, right? Like you're like should I be in KU? Will my algorithmic advantage be higher than the advantage of being available on all platforms and having the freedom to do everyone? And there are like deserts, like they're good in KU because they're very good at like judging the algorithm, knowing when to jump ship, like knowing how to like game things, knowing how to optimize. And like if that is not your game, if you don't win at that game, you probably will not win at KU. Maybe if you're doing tundring and like you're like very good at getting excitement and pointing people to like like all look at you, you will like you could, because like Sky Warren is a traditional like she was in KU for a long time. I don't think she's in KU anymore, but she was in KU for a time. And like she's very good at Amazon because she's very good at like doing a 3-book launch at the same time and like getting everyone to turn attention to her for a month. And then like she'll disappear for like 3 months again into the next thing. So like, but like if you're a Grassland and you like need to be everywhere because like you're on all of these podcasts and people can't find you except in Amazon, and they can't get you in libraries, like it's going to be really hard. If you're a forest who writes like your weird twist on things and you like just generally come in at the end of a trend to like reinvigorate it, like you probably won't get a ton of advantage from KU. If you're an Aquatic and you're just out doing your weird thing by yourself and you're going to be terrible in KU. And also it's going to like, especially if you're a Grassland or an Aquatic, it's going to actually drag you down, because like your advantage is being in all formats, in all places, and pulling in little people from everywhere. And so while like there are some people who might get an advantage of being in KU, there are some people that like probably it doesn't matter if they're in KU or not. And there are also people who it detrimentally affects them for being in KU. And we don't ever talk about that. So I just wanted to add that bit in at the beginning here as we start this conversation. Because I feel like I was specifically disadvantaged by being in KU, not just net neutral.
Yes, 100%. And something else that is really important to think about is your writing speed, because KU rewards newness, rewards speed. You are on a treadmill and you better be hanging on for dear life, and you are going to be running, flat out running, and you don't get to stop. because as soon as you stop, the page reads slow down, the sales slow down, and you are thrown off the treadmill, because it's like the force of everything going. You're just not going to be able to keep up. And so if you are someone who is not a rapid release author, if you are someone who does not enjoy lots of Facebook ads, AMS ads, Amazon ads, BookBub ads, optimizing all of those things, right? If all of that sounds foreign to you, then KU is not your place, truly.
Yeah.
Well, and I did that. I mean, I was writing very short books and able to rapid release them, and I burned out. I got it was a treadmill, and it affected me creatively to my detriment.
Yeah.
Because even now, the thought of like all the books I want to write is exhausting, except that I was then in the book this morning and going, oh my gosh, I can't wait to write these characters and play in this fantasy world. Well, that's writing a lot, but I've been burned by that and the strategies and the optimization, even though I did it. And I guess I should be a poster child for it, to be like, oh, it works. It's good. You know what it does is that rank increase, and that it gives you a dopamine hit. And then you get addicted. So
yes,
you can get on ADHD medication. No. Or, do some coping techniques. And I think that if the rank if a borrow in KU wasn't counted as a sale to rank, which I don't know that for sure, but that's what people have said. And that could change tomorrow too. And probably has, and this is no longer correct information. But if all the algorithms working behind the scenes on Amazon, running our lives, are counting when someone just downloads something free in KU as a sale of a $5.99 book, and you get all these rank increases, if that went away, I don't think we'd get the same dopamine hits. And I think a lot more people would just flee. And rank is false. Rank is not, has nothing to do with your bank account. Like it's supposed to be a KPI. It's supposed to be an indicator of what's happening, but only Amazon knows exactly what it is. And they don't even know either. The algorithms know, like all that math going on behind the surface knows. So yeah. I think when you come down to making a decision, it does come down to like your mental health, what's going to be good for you, what's good for your catalog and your career. And I will say this, Erin, I did not go direct to Tolino. My assistant did. So I was in a position where I could hire people who are good at uploading the correct Italian book with not the French, but the Italian cover. Those people I have now hired, and I can be wide up and they can upload things all day long for me. And that for me, it took being able to hire someone to help me tackle this beast of being wide. I know there are other strategies and software even that can help you do that now. But for me, I just was like, I can't deal. I love the dopamine of KU. And I'm too distracted to upload things correctly. Therefore, I will be in KU until I realize, oh my gosh, most of my money is coming from Germany right now. And I need to be on Tolino. And so let me find someone to help me upload there.
Well, for anybody listening who hasn't spent lots of time in Wide for the Win, our tagline or our motto is bank over rank, because your rank does not pay your mortgage. It does not pay for your food. It does not pay for anything. It is just a dopamine hit. And so focusing on your bank account is a much more accurate measure of how your career is going. So the only time I pay any attention to my rank on Amazon is when I have a BookBub. And I'm just curious how it's going, right? And so that's kind of fun. It's like, ooh, look at that. I ended up to number 2 in the whole Amazon store. Woo! And then it goes away. Right. And at this moment, I have absolutely no idea how my books are ranking on Amazon. And it honestly doesn't matter. But even if I did know, like, it would be completely worthless information. Like knowing the temperature on Jupiter at this very moment. Sure, I could know that. What does that have to do with anything, though? Right. Like, yeah, it just doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Okay, so I do want to point out that there are some people that are able to write a book a month, and that is their preferred method of like marketing and making. I talked to Kevin McLaughlin, and every time he tells me the same things. Like, he's a forest who just likes writing books. Like I, he can, so like there are people, and he's not alone in this thing. Like, so if you're the kind of person who can write a book a month and is listening to this being like, I don't understand why it's so hard to write a book a month. I've been doing it for 10 years, which is like literally conversations that I have with Kevin McLaughlin. Like every time I see him, I'm just like marveled by like, because to me, it was like 2 years of doing that. And I was like, and I think most people tend to be like able to do it for 2 years, really hardcore. And then that's the max before they like start burning out and it starts like affecting them. But like pulp authors, there are authors from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that had like 200, 500. Isaac Asimov had like 500 books in his catalog by the time like he died. Like there are authors who can take in a book and like and just like do the thing with it, and then like they, so if you are that kind of person, like you are not alone. And like maybe that, but and like maybe that strategy would be effective for doing KU, or maybe it would be effective for being wide. Like, but one thing that I hear a lot from you specifically, and Monica previously, and other people who like specialize in helping people with wide, is a lot of people starting KU, or they at least hear about the strategies in KU, and like it's really the like almost the opposite strategies that work wide. Like a lot of the retailers don't work on newness, they work on length. So people are like putting their books in wide for 90 days and then pulling them out and all of these things. So that's what really got me to get all of my books on retailers a lot faster than I planned, because I was like, oh, if this is really about length of time on platform, then like me holding the books back exclusively for Kickstarter is doing me a detriment by not being there. So I would love if you could talk a little bit about that, and or like other things that you see that like people are taking from KU that don't work wide, and things that would work wide. Like, take all the words I'm saying and like make it make sense, please.
Yes. As I said before, KU rewards newness and rapid release, right? Wide rewards history and longevity. So, if you try to apply what you've learned about being a KU author to your catalog, when you go wide with it, you are going to have issues. And one of the descriptions or examples that I like to use is it would be like going to school to learn how to cook vegan. And you go through an intense vegan cooking semester or whatever, and then you get hired at a steakhouse and your whole job is to grill steaks. I mean, there are going to be very basic information that is accurate when it comes to cooking vegan food versus cooking a steak and shrimp. But for the most part, you just spent a whole semester of your life learning something that is of zero value to you. And if you try to use that information and apply it when cooking steaks, it's not going to go very well for you. And so quite often I will hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to start out in KU and I'll learn how to be an indie author at that point. I'll learn how to be successful. And then I'll go wide once I know what I'm doing." And I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but this is actually not going to work the way that you think it's going to work. Because at a fundamental level, the platforms work differently between Amazon and wide platforms, and then even wide platforms within that realm, you have differences in how they operate. And so I think it's a good analogy for anyone who has children, is the platforms are children. They are individual. They've got their own personalities, their own quirks. Some things are consistent across, absolutely, but it is um it is not just, across the board like white paint, everything the same. It's, no variation. That's just not how that works. So a good example of this to give an example so you can kind of wrap your mind around it, beyond the release and how long something has been up and that being rewarded on wide platforms and definitely not on Amazon, is specifically pre-orders. So when you put a book up on Amazon as a pre-order, um, and let's say Russell does that today, and then tomorrow I pre-order the book on Amazon. Russell gets 100% boost that a pre-order has come in terms of that rank, um, and an algorithmic love and whatever. And then when the book goes live, that's it. There is not another additional boost on the day that the book goes live. On Kobo, you get a same situation. You get 100% boost when someone pre-orders your book, and then the day that the book goes live, you get another boost. Now, I have not managed to squirrel someone away in a dark closet, drunk, so that I can get the actual percentages out of them. Just I'm coming for you. No, just kidding. But I'm always like, you could tell me. I won't tell anybody. I promise. But tell me all about the algorithms. But you do get an additional boost when the book goes live. Apple, it is 100% boost when the pre-order is somebody puts the pre-order in, and then it's another 100% boost when the book goes live. So algorithmically on Apple, it is as if someone purchased your book twice when they order it as a pre-order. Now, bank-wise, you're only getting paid for one, but in terms of algorithms, it affects it as if it had been purchased twice. So this is what I mean by diametrically opposite from Amazon, because on Amazon, if you're really worried about rank, the last thing you want to do is put up a pre-order way ahead of the release day, because by time it actually releases, it will have no algorithmic love left, right? It will have somehow managed to hit the 30-day cliff that everybody knows about before it even went live.
Right.
So you're just sinking your battleship right out of the gate. On wide platforms, the exact opposite is true. The wide platforms want your pre-orders to be up on their platforms so that they can start promoting them at least 8 weeks before the book goes live, preferably more like 4 months to a year before the book goes live. So long pre-orders are very useful on the wide platforms. Long pre-orders on Amazon will kill you. So please don't take what you learned from Amazon and think, okay, well, I now know how to do this because I learned it on Amazon and I'm going to go take those lessons and apply them wide. It's like I said, it's not going to go well for you.
Well, and this is something where, like, if you're a phoenix, where you like to have that, where you finish things right at the end, like maybe KU more fits into your like natural rhythm. But for me, like, I want to have, I generally finish a book like 12 to 18 months before it comes out, like a traditional publisher. And so, like, I want them up. Like, I'm not going to wait until the end. I'm not going to remember. Like, I'm literally looking at this book that I just did a cover for that I'm going to put up on Ingram, like, right when this call is over. And, like, there are some rules about like how, like, the only reason they're not up already is because I don't know when the Kickstarter is going to happen. So like I want to give people that. But like I like having things done early. I like having things up. I like having it finished. I don't want to think about it like ever again. So that when release day comes, I can just like do little mechanical things and like so it's like antithetical to how I work naturally to do KU. And it's hard even for my brain to fathom except that I worked with Monica for so long, and I know she like Phoenix is like a champ. So like I'm like I was like I got much more comfortable putting things up later to the deadline. But in general, my preference is have things up as early as possible and
Mhm.
like promote little bits over time and be as many places as possible so that when people hear about your thing, they can go to whatever their merchant of choices or library of choice and like pick up that book then. I spent a lot of time in my career funneling people into just Kickstarter. And so like I'm very cognizant now that like the at the level that I want to play at, like it you need to just have things more. Like it's a very Grassland thing to be like, I need to be everywhere
Mhm.
because I'm picking up these little pennies all over the place. I'm on all of these podcasts, I'm on all of this stuff. Like Monica is the one who came up with like aggressively wide or wider than wide to like be even because she's like, oh, well, if I am on all the platforms, but there's all of these other places that people can still find me. And being in all of these places, I can say that like the audience there operates differently and is almost entirely different than the ones that operate on different platforms, right?
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And something that popped in my mind as you're talking that I wanted to circle back to was something that Lee said about, the German readers weren't on KU. They're reading in Tolino, and she's like, "Hold on, what am I doing? Why are these books in KU? What was I thinking?" I have a good friend, Bradley Charbonneau, and he's from the U.S. He lived in San Francisco for a while, blah blah blah, and is now in the Netherlands. And he is always talking about how he's like, he'll mention Amazon, and people go, "Oh yeah, no, I've heard of Amazon. So you use Amazon? You buy from them? Is that so? That's like useful for you?" They just do not use Amazon at all, right? It's like this, like, oh,
Yeah.
it's fascinating, kind of a reaction to hearing about Amazon. And so when people are like, "Well, I'm only going to put my books on Amazon because that's where the market is at," it's like, I
Yep. So
think you understand how the world works. There's actually more countries than the U.S. I don't know if you knew that, but there's turns out there are more than.
yeah, and I do want to say it was me dipping my toe into wide. I had my English books in KU in certain series and then went wide with the German translation and was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And that is what pushed me to go wide with many of my series. And then there's three co-writers who were like, no, 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 we're in KU. They have all KU platforms. And I'm like, you know what? Whenever you're ready, we can take our English wide. But in the meantime, our English or our German, French, Italian, and Spanish will definitely be wide. And it allowed them to, again, it's choose your own adventure. And you can always make a new choice. Like,
Mhm.
my friend actually got kicked out of KU because she was doing like, she went wide and then went back. And then a book wasn't down from some random site on Draft to Digital, even though they said it was. And then they said, oh, you're out of KU for at least a year. And it was the best thing that ever happened to her. She made seven figures that year and then doubled it because, she had a platform and that could benefit from being so wide that the Apple readers came in, the Google Play readers came in. So if you're listening to this and you're like, what do I do? It's like there's no wrong answer unless you spend a week going wide or the opposite, going into KU, and then you're just so stressed out, which it did happen to a friend of mine. She said, I'm going to be wide. And then she got pregnant with her sixth child and her husband was ill. And she was like, you know what? I can just tread water for a little while with my career. And it just made sense to stay in KU. And
Right.
it doesn't mean she can't be wide with her German. It doesn't mean your paperbacks can all be wide. Your paperbacks can be everywhere and should be everywhere. And I think that even if you have a KU strategy, adopting a wide strategy is good. I know that Amazon, I'm so grateful. It gave me my career. And I want to take that gratitude. I don't want to complain, but Amazon is not my career. Like Amazon does not make decisions for my career. And it never thinks about me. I need to think about me.
Right.
And
Yep.
so I don't have loyalty. Like, I'm not going to get 40-year watch from Amazon, guys. I'm not
Nope.
holding out for that. I will go wherever it makes sense for me, my creative abilities, and my family. And then maybe I'll think about someone else after that, but probably not.
Yeah.
A 40-year watch. I love it. Yes. Yeah. That's that how
I
that.
want to bring up something before we get out, like, because there is another, because like, let's be fair, most people who listen to this are probably forests, maybe aquatics. And like, so like in general, those people are much more relational than like deserts and grasslands and to some extent tundras. And like, what is the thing that I learned about wide that was so surprising to me is how relational it is. Like you are talking about like merchandising. You are talking about like vendor relations. You're talking about like knowing the promo site companies and like I know a lot of people who are wide who like don't run ads. They just run promos to through like written word media or some other thing, which like don't get me wrong, those are also ads, but like they're not
But
running
not
the
cosmetic.
traditional ads where they have to optimize. They're like being like, okay, I'm going to promote one book of this series, one book of this series, and one book of this series every month. And I'm just going to rotate across like 12 months, like what is going. And like, it's a much more like if you are a relational person and if you're looking at the Amazon dashboard is dehumanizing to you, like it is to me. Like I'm like, oh look, a bunch of widgets are doing things are widgeting, like widgets are widgeting, whereas like I can go into my Substack and like see the emails of the people who are like subscribing. A Kickstarter, I can see the names of the people who are like someone buys direct, like someone buys for me at a show. Like I even on like some places like Curios, you get like the email address of the person who buys. And
Mhm.
you're more just like I like going to conferences and meeting with vendors and hanging out with them. And like that is how I make most of my money is like through collaborations, which is a very aquatic thing, and like through generally like relations. And like wide makes more sense to me in that way because like I am not like Amazon is very algorithm based. Like it is very like it is like they make an effort. I'm not going to say they don't at some shows to like come out and be, but like you don't very rarely get a rep. Like you cannot reach out. Like it's like a black box of Amazon. It's
Yeah.
and that just is not true about most or any of the other platforms. Like if you are wide with Publish Drive, like you can go talk to Danica today. Like
Yeah.
you can talk to the people at Draft Digital. Like you can email Damon at BookFunnel. You can talk to Emma and Ricky at like and Mike at Written Word Media. Like you can actually like have relations and be like okay, why did this go wrong? Why did this go right? Like they will give you information to help you make better decisions, which is something that Amazon for all like they are anti that. Like I'm like they don't even let one person have all of the secrets of the algorithm. They like break that stuff up across like teams and things. So that was again a lot of chaos words to come out about like, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit about like merchandising, vendor relations, like that kind of thing. And like, it's so different. It's like night and day difference between like how people relate to the Amazon and how they relate to these other platforms.
Yeah, and so we talked or excuse me, Lee mentioned earlier about how we use a lot of jargon sometimes in this industry, and I will catch myself doing it because I just don't think about it because it's so obvious to me, right? So one of the things that Amazon does not do that the wide platforms Apple, Barnes& Noble, and Kobo do is in-house promotions. And I've told people about, well, you can do in-house promotions, and they're like, I don't know what that means. And basically, what it is there is a dashboard or a form, and you say, hey, I would like you to help me promote such and such book because it's a new release. or they put together a promotion that's like, hey, it's Pride Month, submit your, mail romance novel here, that kind of thing. So, in-house promotion, on
Also called merchandising.
is also called merchandising, and it is also run by merchandisers. So if you hear somebody say, well, I talked to a merchandiser about this, that's what they mean, is they talk to somebody about doing an in-house promotion on that platform. On Apple and Barnes and Noble, the in-house promotions are free. On Kobo, they range from free to a percentage of the sales that you get because of the promotion to a flat fee that you pay in order to be included in the promotion, right? So they kind of have a spectrum there depending on the promotion and what's all sorts of other things. But even if you go to the platforms via a distributor, whether you're using Draft to Digital, you're using Publish Drive, or you're using StreetLib as your distributor, they have access to in-house promotions on Apple, on the libraries. That's another one that people don't necessarily think about, is there are actually in-house promotions for Overdrive, for what's the other one that I'm thinking of? Anyway, the of promotions are Baker and Taylor for several of the library platforms. So you can submit your books for those too. And basically, they're going to advertise your book for you and increase your sales because they want to see you succeed as an author. They don't make money unless you sell a book. So they want the right reader finding the right book. They don't want any reader finding just any book, because if it's not appealing to that reader, it doesn't do any good to show your book to them. So they want the right reader finding the right book.
Before we move on, I just want to be clear. Merchandising, when you like make pins and other things, is a whole different thing. So like I specifically wanted to make I specifically called it merchandising for that reason, because like if you were talking about retailers and someone's like merchandising on retailers, they're not talking about bringing pins and other things to retailers. They're talking about doing in-house promotion. If you're talking about doing merchandising on like your direct store or subscription or Kickstarter, or even if you're bringing merchandise to somewhere like Amazon or Walmart, these are the same word, but mean very, very, very different things.
Oh, English, you're so great.
I like in-house promotion because that's what it is. And you could ask, hey, tell me about your in-house promotions, and they will. And going to conferences is actually how I was able to meet with some of these representatives, the merchandisers, and start to get those conversations going and make sure that I was doing them and having an assistant like check for the Kobo promotions, etc.
So we used to have a conference called Writer MBA. And a company called the Writer MBA, and we had a conference in relation to that. And multiple times, like we were in the middle of this conference, and the Friday of that conference, I was like, oh, like I see that you're in the Friday BookBub deal for like, because BookBub has like a Friday freebie Friday chirp deal. And they were like, oh yeah, I met with somebody on like Tuesday and they put me in this promotion. And so like that is like like literally meeting with somebody. And then this also happened to my friend Annabelle at Nink. A couple months after Nink, I was like, hey, like I've now bought all your books because like, and they were great because I saw them in this chirp deal. And like she's like, oh yeah, I literally sat down and they were like, show me your book. And then they like submitted it there while I was in this meeting. So when you're like it is not just like we are successful authors. We've been doing this a long time. We've got a lot of we got a lot of relationships but like this is not something that is only able to be influenced by like top like very successful authors. Like if you want an Amazon rep, you need to make at least 6 figures on Amazon. And probably way more than that at this point, like to get a rep. And And like, I'm not saying that like there are reps on all of the places, but they're much more findable. Like they actively want to be found and like to help you get money and meeting with them, like having a relationship with them actually positively influences even, I mean, Annabelle had a great series, but like she wasn't, if that was her first book, like she wasn't a seven-figure author. I don't even know if she was a six, but like she had a bunch of reviews on her book and like it looked good and like it read really well. And like, so they were able to like during that meeting influence her career positively, to which at least one person, me, bought that book a couple of months later. And so when people say, oh, well, like I know all of my friends who have Amazon reps are like really successful or like blah, blah, blah. It's like you can walk up to Emma at Written Word Media at any number of the way too many shows they do in a year. And like they will help your career positively.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have to say, funny story. I was at Nink and got into the elevator and there were two ladies in the elevator and I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Oh, good, good." I said, "Oh, what company are you with?" And they said, "Oh, we're with Amazon." "Oh, okay." And they said, "How about you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Erin Wright. I help run Wide for the Win." Oh. Dead silence the rest of the, the elevator ride. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to take this as a compliment that they knew what Wide for the Wind was.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That it just made me laugh that they were just like, we're in the elevator with the devil.
No, oh my gosh. I
It's
mean, maybe for them for that minute while they're hired by Amazon, but
right. Yeah.
they're not getting a 40-year watch from Amazon either, Erin. So
God, I know. I know.
capitalistic dystopia, just throwing that out there.
Which, by the way, I backed your Kickstarter, Russell, and I'm so excited
Yay.
when it comes out. Like when I saw the title of your Kickstarter, I was like, oh my God, he wrote this for me.
I do want to say, tying into capitalistic dystopia, the robots are already running our lives, guys. And what is best for you? I just listened to Becca Syme on the Draft to Digital podcast, and she said, when it comes to the chessboard of publishing, you're the king. The king is, do I want to keep doing this? Do I have the spoons or the plates or the forks, whatever her metaphor is? Do I have the bandwidth to do this? Do I want to do this? Does it make sense for me to get a full-time job and take a few years off? You're still a writer, by the way. And, you know, you get to decide your career and the moves you make, but only you can take yourself off the board. Amazon algorithm will shift. It already has. You were talking about pre-orders, and I was like, I actually think that books do better now on Amazon with a pre-order. But it could just be the dopamine hit that I get from watching those pre-orders stack up. And I am wide, so it makes sense to have a wide pre-order and book promo. Anyway, whatever. Everything changes. But
Yeah.
if you take yourself out of the game, and that is very empowering, and also changes how you're gonna structure your day and your life. Like, is this feeding you? Is this serving you? And if not, there's so many options right now. And it takes like a click of the button to change something. You don't have to buy a brick or mortar store. We're so lucky.
Right. Yes. 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 I have thought that like people are like, oh man, I don't know if I can really put money into a cover. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. And I have absolutely been there. But you do need for just a second to take a step back and realize how easy we have it to start this business than if someone were to be like, you know what, I would like to start a store, a corner store down, and I'm gonna stock it full of all this food and all these items, all of that merchandise. You are renting a place, you are cleaning it, you are putting in all the shelving, you are merchandising all of it. You have to buy all of those, all of the stock, put it in there. Now you're doing payroll because you're paying people to work there. Like, holy cow, running a retail store, very cash intensive. And so for us to be like, I have to pay $400 for a cover. Yes. Um, we are very lucky, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I say that as someone who, when I first started writing, I was very poor. And so I did lots of swaps. So I am anal retentive when it comes to grammar and punctuation and all those good fun things. So I would proofread for people. And then in exchange, they would make me not bad covers, right? This is 2016, 2017. It was fine. And made it happen. I now can pay for professional covers, and that's great. But I didn't start out that way. I absolutely did not start out that way. So don't be afraid to do some, swapping of tasks and things. It worked really well for me. Gave me the ability to actually do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Okay, so before we get out of here, as my dogs and Lee's car alarm are trying to like tell us that like we've reached time, clearly, I think it would be effective for us to talk just for a little bit, each of us, about like how we go wide. Like what, like our strategies are probably very different. So I will start. I have a Substack called the Author Stack and one called Wannabe Press. And that Substack, those Substacks give me a base of money every month. I release things into there. After I have put, so like I'm currently releasing two series that are already done, one for free and one for paid subscribers to my subscribers. It has no additional lift. My assistant does it all. It took like a week to set up. I then run a Kickstarter is my like real first step, because the other one is like underneath it all. Run a Kickstarter to like get a monetary fund to like be able to do all the promotion, and because it's a really good way to get everyone looking at you for like when your book launches on run there. While I have those, I have all of my books up on retailers that are on Kickstarter at the time, releasing in like 3 months after the Kickstarter or 6 months after the Kickstarter ends. I put them up. I used to go direct. I have found that like it gives me a panic attack to open that many things. So I now have a combination of Amazon, Draft to Digital, and Publish Drive. Draft to Digital is essential because it's the only way to get onto Smashwords, and Publish Drive is essential because they have a lot of retailers that the others don't, and so I can upload it to those two places and Amazon. I do not like make different covers or different things for each one. I just like once I have a blurb, it goes on all the sites. Like that's the energy that I have. And then once the Kickstarter is over, I take basically the blurb and the copy and anything that was part of that campaign and make like a bundle on my website, on my web store. And like then it lives there. If it's a big enough series, then I'll like have like a sales page for it with a series. But like all of that sounds like a lot, but like it actually doesn't take very much time because I'm taking the same information and I'm just like the books are already, because of the Kickstarter, the books are already on BookFunnel. So like that becomes like the distribution mechanism. And so like it all like connects in the other thing I like about Kickstarter is like I get all my marketing copy, I get all like my like emails that I'm sending out, all of that stuff. So I don't know how either of you run your wide strategy, but like I can almost guarantee that it's not that crazy hot mess, but maybe it's your own crazy hot mess. Lee, do you want to go next and then we'll end with Erin?
Sure. So right now what works for me is I work with an assistant and she will format the book, upload it to Amazon and leave it in draft form, and I'll check it. And that is allowing me also to check the interior and the keywords, etc. And then I'll be like, looks great. Typically, we set a pre-order of at least 2 weeks. So there's a little bit of buffer. And I'll be like, I'm going to hit go on this, looks great. And then she will make sure that it's live everywhere on all, or it's the same pre-order is set up on all the platforms. And depending on the book, I might have a longer pre-order or a shorter one. I do try to make those dates match because when I apply for Apple promos and in-house promotions, they want the dates to match. And I messed that up. And I was like, well, from now on, we do it this way. So that's how we get the English and all the translations up. Draft to Digital is useful for mopping up like all the random sites like Scribd that I'm not going to go to direct to, but I will. My sister can do going direct to some of the big ones like Google Play, Kobo, Apple, and Barnes & Noble. My account is glitched, so we use Draft to Digital to get to Barnes & Noble because I don't understand and no one has responded to my questions. And I'm like, well, okay, Barnes & Noble. But in my co-writing business with Renee, that's all fine. The assistant does it. And then Barnes & Noble asks us to do a exclusive cover with them. And that gets us extra promotion. So we're working on that. We've been invited to that. And whenever we're invited to something, we try to say yes and take the opportunity. So, and it all could change tomorrow because I also love Publish Drive, and it's been great, especially uploading box sets of random stuff, German box sets, etc. But I did have a BookBub, and for some reason I changed the price and then it kicked back. And I missed the BookBub because Dream, which is a great place to find paranormal readers who would like my books, but Dream kicked the book back and the whole thing glitched. And it was supposed to be at 99 cents. It went back to $9.99 the day of.
Oh, no.
And BookBub was really nice. And they're like, well, you missed Monday, but they do a mop-up email on Sunday. And I got into that. And I was direct to Amazon. I typically am always direct to Amazon because that's where I started. So it's like, I know this. So I think that Publish Drive is working on that, though, because they're very responsive. And I was like, this can't happen. And I'm not going to put anything up in English on here until you make sure that never happens again. Or if I can get a BookBub on it, I will not. I'm just letting you know. Sorry, bad press. I love Danica and I love Publish Drive, but that didn't happen. But I could actually talk to someone that day.
Right. Yeah.
Someone who was like, oh, I just talked to Kinga, the CEO about this. This can never happen again. And I can't do that at Amazon. Although if you get your account shut down, spamming the email of Jay Bezos or A. Jaffrey or whatever is one of the ways to get attention. That's not a bot. Everything in Amazon is a bot. If you get your account shut down, it was a bot. Mm-hmm. And then you have to find someone to talk to. And they check the CEO email inbox and then tweet about it. Although Twitter's gone. So I guess skeet about it. I don't know. They watch social media too for bad press. So.
Yeah.
You, Erin.
Yeah. So I go direct to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, which, by the way, Lee, remind me, send an email afterwards and let me see if I can help you get that straightened out. Because I have some relationships with some people at Barnes & Noble. So let's see if we can get that figured out for you. So yeah. Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Apple is the only one that I use a distributor. I am on a MacBook Pro. I have an iPhone. I have an iPad. I hate going direct to Apple. I actually used to have about half of my books direct to Apple and half through a distributor, and now they're all through a distributor. I don't deal with Apple's backend very well. It's a glitchy mess. It's $1 trillion company, and they cannot figure this shit out. Come on, Apple. Get your shit together. Anyway, sorry.
I feel that way. That's how my sister does it. My husband will just email us and be like, I hate Apple. And my sister's like, okay, I hear you, but they're necessary.
Yes. So I use a distributor to get to Apple, and to get to all the smaller platforms, right? And the libraries and such too. I use Draft to Digital, Publish Drive, and Streetlib. Just as an FYI, Streetlib is based out of Italy, is where they started, and they have recently purchased a company that is out of Germany. And so they're really starting to increase their German reach also. So that may be something for you to consider is using StreetLib for German and Italian translations. Just as a little FYI there. Of course, I use Ingram and Book Vault, and then direct to Amazon for my print. And I have a little baby store on my website that I really desperately need to finish. Well, I need to have my website designer finish building a full-fledged WooCommerce site. Because right now I have PayHip. It's beautiful. It's fine. It's whatever. But anyway, I am probably the opposite of you, Russell, in almost every way. I have never run a Kickstarter. Ever. And I don't have a Substack. So I'm the other end of the spectrum of being wide. And I think that's one of the cool things about this industry is how differently you can tackle the same problems. And I
Yeah. Oh, go on. Sorry. I
Oh,
had
I
something
was
to
just going to say that I absolutely want to do a Kickstarter. I bought all of your Kickstarter books and courses and backed all the things. I just haven't done it because I run Wide for the Win. And I do consultations and I all sorts of like it's craziness. So it's just a matter of time for me. Sorry, Lee, what were you going to say?
there are new authors who are killing it on TikTok Shop. And
Yes.
they might not have heard of any of the companies we just mentioned. I know one, I was following her off Literotica or Wattpad, and then they linked to a Patreon, and they have a Patreon. That's it. And it really enheartened me, like this brand new author with like 6 chapters of something out that's totally my jam because there's a hot elf in it. And I'm like, oh, I want more. Oh, she's releasing early on her Patreon. And I was like, good for her. Like she just did it. And I talked to the people who helped me with my TikTok shop distributing, and they're like, you know that Instagram, and YouTube are like, wait, what? And they're going to get their shops going.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys do Whatnot shops, either of you? Do you know what Whatnot is? It's like live selling, but like it's for comics and like book things. So like the comic book industry is like they like will get on a stream and they'll do like 5-minute sketches and then sell them all. But like it's a whole thing. I just like it's a massive industry. I remember Whatnot like 2 years ago was like kind of okay, but like now it's apparently like blown up. There are 2 things I want to mention before we get out of here. The first is that even if you have failed at building an audience at every platform you have tried, there is always a new platform. Like there's always a thing, and there are strategies that you can use that align with your goals. Whether that is like optimizations, whether that is like thought leadership, like whatever you're comfortable in, like you probably aren't doing marketing wrong. You're probably doing the wrong marketing or on the wrong platform. Like you're just and like off. It is shocking how successful I can be at Kickstarter when I made $37. I can't seem to make more than $100 on Amazon, no matter what I do. And like, granted, I just like don't do I know why. It's because I don't do the things that Amazon wants to do. Like I know the exact reason why it's not working, and I know how to fix it is like to go and like get Janet Margot to like look at all my ads and like optimize them and tell me what to do. And I just like, I can't bring myself to do that part. And despite the fact you're emailing me, like saying, I will do it, just tell me when and where. And so like there are strategies, like if you are like me and you're like, I want relations, I want X, Y, and Z thing. I made so much money at conventions. There are people that cannot sell online, but they destroy at conventions. And like there are just so many ways to build a business now where like it's not really, am I in KU or am I like wide? It's like, what is the strategies that make sense for me, and like what what way can I make this together? And the last thing I want to say is like with Kobo Plus, with libraries, with all they're all with I don't even know if Scribd still exists, but like there are so many ways.
They rename themselves Evergrande. Anyway, sure, keep
Oh,
going.
there you go. Like, oh, now I know.
Oh,
Now that makes a whole lot more sense. But like there are all
Oh,
of these ways for people to get books for free while you are wide.
yes.
And if the people are saying you're not available in KU, like you can, even if you're not available in a library, like you can most likely tell that librarian to make the book available and they can make a book available to you. Um, there are and like most books like have deals on BookBub to get it for 99 cents at least one or two times during like there are ways to like I personally think that KU is criminally overcharged for to get this exclusive thing where you can get at a library for like just walk into a library. Just like walk into a library and like get any book. Don't even walk into a library, download Hoopla
yeah.
or Overdrive and like if you are wide. I'm not saying like
Yeah.
don't use Amazon or
It
KU.
posts, my library uses Amazon. That's the crazy thing.
Right.
I love, Erin, that you were radicalized by the library thing. You were like, no,
Yeah.
I refuse to be a part of a world that doesn't support libraries. I think that's great. And I have been enjoying getting all my ebooks from libraries, but also buying them because I do love supporting authors. So
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Like I use Libby. Like I download like two or three books from Libby, like audiobooks from Libby,
and
like a
I would
day.
love to have every book of mine in every library. I feel like that scale, it's free advertising and you can be, omnipresent. I think that's really smart. So, maybe listening to this, you're like, well, I'm going to rethink my just be in KU. And again, you can have both and you can always make a new choice too if something isn't working.
I think of KU as like the career version of a straitjacket. It's so limiting. It's like you can do this one thing and you can put your books in this one place, and that's all. And it's like, man, there's such a big world out there. Why? Why would you put this straitjacket on? Anyway, I was gonna say, just in case some people aren't aware, Libby is the front end, Overdrive is the back end. They're the same company. So it's like your KDP dashboard versus Amazon.com. Same company, but it's just one sees one is where you're uploading your stuff and doing the things, and the other is forward facing. So I've had people go, well, I can't figure out how to upload to Libby. I'm like, if you're on Overdrive, you're on Libby. The other thing as a librarian in the house, if you are curious where your library book or where your books are at, in which library, here's a little fun thing to do is go to WorldCat, short for catalog, worldcat.org. And you can do a search for your books, and it will show you which libraries your books are in. Now, those libraries do have to connect to WorldCat and put their data in WorldCat. But WorldCat is the number one program around the world. It's nonprofit. They're not making any money from this. And it helps libraries find what other libraries have. But it is also available to the public. So if you are curious which libraries carry which ones of your books, as long as those libraries are reporting to WorldCat, it will show up there. So it's kind of fun. I go in and I look and I'm like, OMG, my books are like in Scotland and Australia and South Africa. And I'm like, this is so cool. So anyway, there you go.
Absolutely. I love it. And I think that it like also go like it rolls downhill because when you like are like 11 Labs, for instance, like I decided to record my audio, I cloned my voice and put it on 11 Labs. And then 11 Labs created like had an 11 Labs reader. And then like Find Away Voices is like you can now publish your 11 Labs SFPs through like this and distribute it to all of these places. Find Away Voices is Spotify's audiobook distribution platform, although now they're going to have
Not
their own platform. It's
yes. They spun back off,
Yeah.
right? So Findaway Voices got purchased or bought by Spotify. Spotify is spinning it back off, and Findaway Voices will be its own company again. It's called In Audio, but it is going to be an independent company once more. It's not going to have a corporate overlord. So that's
Yeah.
I am excited about that.
Very excited too. But like you see how these things like once you make the option to go wide and you like, oh, I'm gonna start doing audio. Well, like you could put your audio on spoken for short form and like Find Away Voices for long form and 11 Labs Reader. And like you can do so it's like all of these things start expanding out and out and out for you once you start making this choice. So like you don't have to like I did not 6 months ago have any books with 11 Labs. And then I like did like 4 or 5 books with them now. And then 2 months ago or so, 11 Labs was like, Find Away Voices was like, give us your AI audio file and like we'll distribute it for you, which wasn't available. You had to have it on every platform. And so like these things are expanding out even as you're doing it. And by just like making the decision to do a little bit, like it like eventually branch out. And what I always disliked about Amazon was like you can't branch out from there very easily. It's like you're like, and if you're a person like me who like squirrels and wants opportunities everywhere and gets bored by things, like it's like, oh well, like I have access to Amazon's audience. Now I want access to all of these other audiences and like bring people in a little at a time. So anyway, I would like if you have one last final thought, that was my final thought, final 10 thoughts. If you have a final thought, each of you, Lee, will start with you. Erin will finish with you. And then please tell us where we can find you and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, I have a 6-figure case study and I'll want to link it in the show notes because it talks about a series that I started in Kindle Unlimited and then took wide. And a lot of the money rushed in like after I took it wide. So it'll be interesting for people to see.
Awesome.
I am co-teaching. Speaking of Kickstarter, I am co-teaching a series. We're doing 3 classes, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And we're just doing the beginner right now on Kickstarter. I'm co-teaching it with Fiona, and she writes like paranormal, sexy, vampire, and it has been kicking ass and taking names with those kinds of really fun lots of like cool books with the casing and the foiling and the blah 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 blah. So anyway, so if you have been listening and hearing about Kickstarter for forever and you're like, okay, I really just need to sit down and do the thing, the very first class is for absolute beginners. So like these are the people who are like, I know I should learn about Kickstarter, but I'm not really sure where to start. That this is the class for you. And then we'll be getting into the more fun stuff later. But yeah, so it's been something that I teach a lot of classes. That's one of the things that I do to help people. And I reached out to Fiona and I said, look, I need to actually just do the thing with Kickstarter. So you teach the class. I'm going to be learning as we go along. She's not necessarily a teacher like I am. She needs help building a class and having it flow well. So we're a good pair together because I can provide the teaching and that kind of expertise, and she can provide the actual knowledge. So yeah,
Amazing.
I'm excited.
And Wide for the Win is at learn.wideforthewin.com for the community. Is that right?
So we actually just moved it. If you just go to wideforthewin.com, there will be a link there. It says join our community or something like that. And the website you'll end up on eventually, or when you click that, is wideforthewin.com/campus. But you can just go to wideforthewin.com and you can find all the stuff from there.
I love it. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Please like, subscribe, and do all the other things, comment, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yay. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, thank you. This is so fun.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.